So let us look at the specific market, though. So what would you say is perhaps like the hottest region currently, which you are looking at?
Well, the theme that we see globally is tech investing, like in so many other parts of the world. So across all of our markets, Asia, Latin America, we've seen record investment in tech startups with valuations and public market exits at all-time high, all-time records. For example, we saw over $11 billion invested in tech startups in Latin America just so far this year, which is, 4 or 5 times what was invested just a couple of years ago. So that covers everything from ed tech, health tech, fintech, super apps like Grab in Southeast Asia, mobility. It's across a wide range of tech opportunities in these markets where you see, starting from a lower base than you see in a developed country like the United States or Western Europe, just faster growing opportunities for those tech startups.
Is that more or less a replication of digitalization and technology, which we already see in like the major markets, or is that like a fitted approach?
Yeah. In fact, often technology is leapfrogging what you see in the United States or Western Europe because there's not the legacy infrastructure for some of those companies, for some of those sectors. So there's an opportunity for new solutions and new approaches, such as fintech, where you don't already have a legacy financial system where the population is banked. There's a large unbanked population. There's an opportunity to provide credit or insurance services to populations that haven't had access to that historically, or mobility, where you see just fast-growing jumps in delivery in very densely urban populations where motorbikes there are delivering instead of cars. So there are a lot of innovative solutions coming out of these markets.
So we've been talking about SPAC quite a bit, extensively perhaps, one could even say, but you're also sitting on a panel here. So how is the private equity industry discussing that topic?
Yes. So SPAC is really interesting in the markets that I cover. In a country like the United States, there are legitimate questions about the utility or value add of SPAC as a tool. There can be sometimes adverse selection in terms of companies are being merged with SPACs that might not have a path to a public listing on their own. In markets like Asia or Latin America or Africa, a SPAC is an incredibly useful tool for a company that is very fast growing, has a legitimate path to an IPO on its own, is a very viable option, but have specific challenges in listing in public markets. Typically, they want to list in the United States, and there's just less awareness from U.S. retail investors of a company from out of, say, Southeast Asia or Latin America. So by merging with the SPAC, they bring in a strong institutional partner that will then bring in institutional investors to the cap table that signal to retail investors in the U.S. the quality of that SPAC. In fact, I sit on the board of Mecca, a SPAC out of Latin America, co-sponsored by Mercado Libre, which is a publicly traded company and one of the leading venture funds in Latin America. PayPal is a big sponsor of that SPAC as well, and that has signaled to retail investors in the U.S. Another example out of India, Renew Power, renewable energy producer in India that wanted to list in the U.S., but Indian regulation does not allow Indian companies to list on foreign exchanges. So Renew Power listed on the NASDAQ for an $8 billion valuation just a couple of months ago by merging with a NASDAQ-listed SPAC.
That's very interesting, talking about India. Let's dig a bit to that market. So what is your perspective here? Because people are quite excited about the outlook for that country.
Yes, well, of course, India has a very large population, which is always a significant part of the opportunity. It is a country that is rapidly digitalizing, so there still is a way to go, but we saw Geo platforms raise over $20 billion in 2020 from a ranking of incredible private equity investors, everyone from KKR to General Atlantic piling in. Geo platforms is providing internet access across India at very attractive prices. So it's a large population. Digitalization is accelerating. Healthcare is expanding very quickly as an investment sector, and you just see that a country where integrated, there's an opportunity to reach 1.3 billion people through new digital approaches and platforms. And yes, there are many investors more focused on India today.